We are dedicating the Heber home, naming it in honor of my brother, Collin Russell, and also in honor
of my uncle, Michael Westwood.
Collin was my baby brother, the youngest of the four of us. I was 8 years old when he was born.
He let his heart lead him throughout his life, and with that desire to carry his heart on his sleeve, it really enabled him to learn and to grow in many ways.
People that knew him counted him as a tremendous blessing in their lives. He would seek out those that needed a friend. I can't tell you how many times people have approached us and said, you know, there was a time when I was really down, and he was the one that would seek them out and offer a helping hand, a smile, to those that needed it.
We just always had a really special bond. I could tell, as he got into his later teens, he was struggling more. I had never before considered that he might be gay, but I feel like it was kind of divine intervention, God speaking to me like, ask him if he's gay. And I did, and he just was so relieved to tell me yes. In that moment, I was calm and I just said, I love you, it's gonna be okay. And I knew that it was gonna be challenging. I knew it was gonna be hard for him and hard for, a challenging path for our family. It was meant to be that him and I were supposed to have that conversation, and I was supposed to be the one that he initially came out to. He told my parents a few weeks later in our family, and we did the best we could, but I wish Encircle had been there to support us and help us through that transition.
He told me that he knew at about 6th grade that he was gay. And he told me that someone asked him if he was. And from that point on, he felt like he needed to find ways to hide that and make sure people didn't know.
In an LDS culture, there's an expectation, and understanding that expectation, it's hard to express yourself the way that you really want to without hurting those around you that you love the most.
He just turned to some things that weren't healthy coping mechanisms. He had spent years of his life hiding who he was and feeling shame and guilt and trying to not be who he was.
He started, struggling with drugs and whatnot, and I think that part of that is because he didn't have the right people to connect with right off the bat. He didn't have a place like Encircle to go to feel loved and to feel like he had other people like him, so he sought out other places that didn't necessarily lead him down a great path.
That led to addiction, using things to cope with the pain. That kind of steered our path towards that challenge versus him being able to be the wonderful, beautiful gay man that he was. I feel like I never knew that side of him. He just struggled and struggled and struggled, and we did our best to help him. But unfortunately, we lost him to an accidental overdose when he was 23 years old. It's the hardest thing that we and my family have been through. I wish we could have taken that pain and that guilt and that shame away from him. I wish when he was 12 years old and knew that he was gay, that he knew that we would love and accept him no matter what. But just the culture that he was brought up in, he felt like he had to hide that.
I wish we lived in a world where, everybody was accepting of everyone and that there was more love. I think Collin, he knows that he was loved. Above all, he knew he was a part of a family that absolutely adored him.
Encircle would have been that refuge, that environment where he could have shared his ideas and expressed what he was feeling, and that influence would have carried him to exactly where he needed to be. And I know that it's something that's going to be a big difference maker for a lot of people.
Yeah, I wish there had been some place like that back in his time where he could have gone and felt safe. I wish we had been better prepared for that.
We didn't have Encircle to help us when he came out, but being able to now be involved and honor his life in this way has been so healing for me and for my family. We can't change what's happened with Collin, but we can help those moving forward. And I feel like the future is so bright for LGBTQ plus youth, and Encircle is such an amazing organization to help them on their path and their journey to becoming who they're truly meant to be. Collin would have loved Encircle. He was really meticulous in his clothing and his design, and I think he would have walked into an Encircle home and just been like, this is for me. You know, this is my place.
The fact that there's this incredibly historic home in the center of Heber that now is going to be transformed into this center for the LGBT community, we just immediately thought that's where it's supposed to be.
He just was so loving and welcoming and open-minded. I think he would have thrived in that environment, meeting all those kids like him. I want the kids who come to Encircle, who come to the Collin Russell home, to know that he loved them and he would have accepted them, and that he would want them to be free of anything holding them back from being who they are. Just be happy, That's what he wanted so badly, was to find happiness and joy. And I know that Encircle would have helped him get there.
I think Collin would have been very much at home. I think he would have really enjoyed the community that Encircle provides. The focus on the therapy and providing the environments where the kids can come and have support networks and seek professional guidance. The community that it provides, the support system, the activities, the cooking together, the painting together, the music, all those things to me was like, okay, there's a lot that this is offering beyond, just a focus on a specific topic, as much as it is a community and a network of people who want to help you be the best you.
I would say to everyone who comes to the Collin Russell Encircle home and all the homes that you're loved and you're accepted, and this is your place.
Just because there's a few people that aren't on your side, there's way more that are on your side.
And I would say to those kids to seek out people that love you for who you are. I think Collin tried to do that, and I think Encircle does that for the LGBTQ plus community.
You don't have to feel guilt for who you are. You're perfect the way you are. We love you the way that you are.
I would say to these young individuals coming into the Encircle home that, hey, just come have a good time. This is your place.
Yeah, I think it's been said before, but I think it's important to say, you're perfect the way you are and we love you. And, there's, I think, an incredible opportunity to come to a space like Encircle where you can just be who you are and be comfortable, let your guard down, feel the love, and just, be able to appreciate who you are.
This motto is like, there's no sides. You can go to church on Sunday and love your LGBTQ plus brother, and welcome them and love them. And I'm so passionate about making changes so that everyone feels welcome, not only at Encircle, but everywhere they go, at school, at church, in their homes. And I think Encircle is helping make that change.
I know that Collin, if he was here today, he would be so proud to know that this is happening and that this door is being opened for so many.
We're honored to have Collin's name part of that.
It's very humbling. It's very humbling.
Michael Kaufman Westwood was 4 years younger than me. He was our youngest member of our family.
I met Michael when I was 18. He was tall, thin, curly hair, green eyes, had a really deep voice, could sing, gentle, kind. Never heard him yell, just a gentle soul. But the unfortunate thing about Michael and his time on this earth was not only was he not accepted for his lifestyle, but he lived through the AIDS epidemic, so he was literally seen as a pariah, spurned as a reason to avoid him and not have anything to do with him. He had so much to offer the world. I think a lot all the time about what he would have, if he was still here, what he would do and be.
Today we interact in a world that would have been impossible in the 1970s. He expressed and came out to us and told us about who he was and where he wanted to be and what he was going to do. And he ran kind of into the bandsaw of a family that was resistant. So we see him as kind of a hero because he stood out in his context of the 1970s and 80s.
I'm so grateful he was comfortable with us.
He was accepting of us. We were an active Mormon family, and he knew who we were and what
we were totally accepting of him.
And we were accepting of him, which is really...
why not?
Yeah, why not? When he became ill, it was during the earliest stages of the epidemic, and so he struggled in his ability to survive, and it wasn't but 6 months after he died that they came up with the right kind of combination of medication that probably would have kept him alive.
I remember clearly when they told me that he had AIDS, and I remember there was no stigma. There wasn't anything that was, this is wrong. It was, he's dealing with something that a lot of people are dealing with. I remember really clearly where I was when they told me that he died. And I remember how much that impacted my family and how much they loved and respected him. Even though I didn't have a close relationship to him, I grew up my entire life with this appreciation and respect for this person and for who they were, that he was a gay man and that there was nothing wrong with that.
So it's with a great deal of deep happiness that Isaac and Emma have decided to name a room that Michael's life and experiences will live on through this memorializing.
I think it's a great location to honor him and represent him. I think that's, a simple way for us to connect, my relationship with my uncle and the knowledge and education I learned about that community at such a young age that I think it's largely part of why and who I am today is because of him.
Emma and Isaac Westwood are stepping out in a way that makes us as parents very proud of them.
I feel like Isaac's, his relationship with his uncle and what his parents taught him really helped. When Collin came out, Isaac and his family were so loving and accepting and kind of helped us through that because of their experience. Michael's legacy lived on through helping Collin through some really hard times.
I'm excited that we'll have this room that is dedicated to him that I believe will again have an opportunity to honor his legacy, to recognize him and who he was, but also something for me and my family to remember him and to have others remember him and his experience.
My great-great-grandfather settled Heber. There's a statue of him in the main park there on Main Street.
As a historian and as the former state preservation officer, interacting with historic buildings, the way that Encircle has put those buildings together is both an honor to our pioneer past and also towards our future, and particularly youth, and the bringing forward of a community that has been oppressed for so long. It's right in the middle of town, so it's prominently placed to make it very clear that LGBTQ life is very much part of everyday life everywhere. What I think is fascinating about Encircle is it's a publicly available, open place that's understood by the community and by those who interact there. I think everyone has a right to stand and be who they are, and if Encircle can do that, but Encircle can also accompany any excuse will do to have a positive experience where you can go in, find camaraderie and friendship, therapy, entertainment, and then friends, and then be able to and get out and go and do and be who you are in that bigger world. that's what I hope what will happen in Heber.
Heber is not unlike lots of other cities or locations in Utah in the way that there may be a tough environment for a child to come up in, knowing that that's part of the community that they are. So I'm hopeful that the Encircle home can provide a safe place for them. That's one of the things I think I'm most excited about is there's this incredible community of kids and students and families who live there that are part of the LGBTQ community. And if they have a location that's central to them, if they have a home that they know they can go to at any time to be loved, to be accepted, I think that that's, you know, any city, any community should have access to something like that. There's an opportunity for the community to rally around this cause, to be able to support the youth. For donors, what I would really say is it's time to step up. It's time for Utah to be leading ahead on these causes. I think the cool thing that Encircle offers is you can show up on a Wednesday night and share your gifts or your knowledge. You can sit down with kids and have, you know, conversations and just be you. It doesn't have to be a financial, you know, support. It also doesn't have to be substantial. It can be $10 a month. It can be, you know, the cost of your coffee for the month. You can contribute, and it makes a huge, huge difference to Encircle.
We all have someone we love who belongs to the LGBTQ plus community, and there's so many different ways that you can just show love and show acceptance, and I think Encircle provides such an easy way to get involved, whether you're donating $5 a month or you're going to the house once a month to help make cookies, or once a week, or making a big contribution because you have the means to do so. You don't know the difference that you're going to make to someone who sees that you're doing those things. You have no idea who's watching you, who is a part of that community that you don't know.
Just show up. Come be part of the community, the people, and show your love and support.